What's up, everybody? It's your favorite droid with no filters, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the SH Figuarts K-2SO. Definitely a fan favorite of the films. It's not just a comparison with Hasbro, but we definitely will be comparing him with Hasbro, but more importantly, we're just going to address some of the concerns that this figure raises in spite of being as good as it is. So let's get started with accessories. So he does come with 4 hands, in addition to the 2 that he has on, which we'll talk about as we get to them, and it's a fairly good assortment. There is an issue with the hands we'll get to later, but it's like 2 holding hands, although he has nothing to hold, and then 2 kind of relaxed posing hands, which do look quite nicely, and I will be using these. And I think one more accessory we need to talk about. He comes with a display stand. You have to put it together yourself, but it isn't always nice to get one. Unfortunately, there are a few issues, like if you want to use it for holding him, I'll try to back out a little bit. You have to kind of just have it gripping his arm, like I had it in the opening, just because the display stand itself isn't tall enough to really reach his neck. And let's see how wide it is in comparison. I mean, I guess it's going to be wide enough to hold his waist. Yeah, so that works. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. It holds the waist, so I'm going to go ahead and withdraw that criticism. I think that that's better anyway. And then, of course, it can help, you know, get him in some really dynamic poses. So that's cool, too. So let's talk about him. So the head, tons of fine detailing, all of the, like, circuitry and mechanics of the bits that are kind of in the jaw, all sculpted, painted silver. The eyes are painted white inside those deep recesses that we love so much. And it's a good likeness, little red accent there. It's beautiful, you know, and aesthetics are not this thing's issue, and it has very few issues, but we'll get to those. We have a ball peg at the top of the head from the neck into the head, and then another ball peg from the neck into the chest, which provide a ton of articulation. I mean, you can get his head all the way down to there, and then all the way up to there, side to side. You can do the ultimate confused dog look. Shout out to Decepticon. For the torso, detailing wise, we have this silver accent here with a little blue light there. That looks beautiful. Nice blue silver accents there, and then some silver, blue, and red paint applied to the back, and it all looks good. And these little wires, I don't think they're painted, but they are a softer plastic, so they shouldn't break on you, which is nice. The torso feels to be on a double ball peg to me, but it might be a single. I just can't. No, I think it's a double. Articulation wise, you get over to there, and then back to there. Well, I guess back to there, forward to there. The torso, the abdomen rather, into the pelvis has another, maybe it doesn't, actually. I thought it did. I'm not sure where the connection is there. But it is nicely painted with the silver accents throughout, but it just doesn't add much to articulation, but you still get plenty out of it. Shoulder-wise, it's pretty smart. You have this piece, which is a floating piece, and then this piece, which is a floating piece. It's 2 separate pieces, nice clean orange paint around the borders there, and then nice gunmetal silver painted on there, which looks great. And they just kind of act to cover down on this hinge here that's on the shoulder that connects to a ball peg inside the torso. So to get a good angle, you can get all the way across to there, and then all the way back to there. Now there is some daintiness to this, you know, just thinner pieces, so you want to use a little bit of caution. I haven't had anything feel like it's going to break on me or anything, but it's worth noting. We have the Imperial symbol with the worn weathering. That looks really good. And then the shoulder itself, this is on this little tiny armature on a hinge. Yeah, focus. Down there, and then a ball peg at the top, so you articulate the there's a better view. We'll just leave that off for now because I got a feeling that's going to be a pain to get back on. So it has a hinge here, and then you just use the ball peg to get the angle, and then the hinge to articulate it, and then you cover down with the shoulder plate. So pretty good. Give me a hug. And then we also have a swivel where the hinge connects into the ball peg, so it acts as a universal joint. That gets you 360. It has a bicep swivel, which is nice, and then it has a hinged elbow, which gets you a little bit past 90 degrees, so that's good. The elbow is also painted silver, which looks nice. The main issue, the wrist swivels, and it's on a hinge, but you would think this cut right here would be an additional, can you see that? You would think that that would be an additional swivel because you kind of need it. There's a lot of times where you get the arm into a certain pose and then in order to get, like, you can't get the fist to bend towards the head here. You know, it's limited that way, which is really strange. It wouldn't have been much to add that, and I think it's a huge oversight. Same thing on the other side. And then the hands, these are like just fist hands, and they look pretty good. For the hips here, we have a very interesting, it's a ball peg, but it might even be a double ball peg because I think that's the socket in there, and then it comes out to an additional ball peg inside, or additional ball socket inside here, and then we have this loose piece over top that covers the joint with the orange paint and silver paint on there once again, looking good. So articulation wise, I mean, you get ridiculous range all the way up to there, back around, and out to the side you don't get as much, but I'm kind of okay with that given the character. And then both ball joints act to get a fairly significant thigh swivel as well, so that all works really well. Knee on that same type of hinge with the silver paint getting you 90 degrees. And then for the ankles, you have the hinge here on this silver painted piece, which gets the foot down to here. See, now that has it. I wonder if this does have it and it's just mine is so, there it is. It just, did you hear it? Did you hear the piece give way and finally allow it to move? So I withdraw that criticism. That's something that was really bugging me about this figure. I withdraw that criticism and I'm happy, 100% happy now. Oh, that's so much better. I thought it was the strangest thing that they wouldn't have done that. So anyway, deductive reasoning, that's what we call it, folks, using this bit down here. So you get the ankle swivel, you get the hinge for an ankle tilt all the way, just whatever you want. And then you have a toe tilt that looks really good, and then an ankle rocker, old school ankle rocker too, where it sits inside the ankle to allow for more dynamic poses in that regard. Same for the other side. And there's the back of the figure. A little slight, subtle silver paint there on the back of the calf. Looks really good. But yeah, thank God that's there. I just got to get this one to free up now. Let's see if we can get it to, if you can hear. I don't know if it's a paint finish or a tightness. I'm not sure what it is. Let's see if we can get it to break loose, so to speak. There it is. Cool. And then there's the peg to swap the hands out. And there he is with the Hasbro one. So let's have this conversation, okay? We're not going to spend too much time on it. These are very, very similar in a lot of ways in regards to articulation. Their ankles, feet, toes, swivels, knees, thighs, you know, most everything is the same. Where the Hasbro one starts to lack, and that was misleading because he was actually supporting his weight, is in the thighs. You get out to there, which is that's about the same, but forward not so much. But you don't need anything more than that, so that's not really a slight either. The shoulders are obviously much more hindered in regard to what you can do with those, but it's not the biggest deal. Same double ball peg for the head system, so that works fine. Like, the main difference for me with these two is size, obviously, and I do prefer the larger size K-2SO, but the major difference for me is they try to do this wear effect here on the Hasbro one with the silver scratch marks, and some of them look good and some of them look really believable, and then some of them look just absurd. And they didn't do them really with this guy much at all. I'm trying to see if I can find any, honestly, and I could have used some, but he does present in a much cleaner manner. So the nice thing about this is that you can have two, because you can put one with your Imperials and you can put one with your hero crew from Rogue One. You know, that makes sense. So, but you know, is it worth going from this to this if you're not a huge Star Wars fan, or not, you know, if you just, like, I don't think so. I think this Hasbro one did a really great job. It's probably one of their better Black Series figures they've ever done. So I don't think it's necessarily worth jumping to this one. It just is for me because I'm just such a massive fan, not only of the character, but of the franchise, and it just makes sense for me. I mean, I'd like to say that I have the reserve, right? I'd like to say that I'm the guy that could only buy one figure. Like, I just bought the Black Series Obi-Wan, and I know the SH Figuarts Obi-Wan is coming. And I would like to be the guy to say, look, I'm just going to wait. But you know what the chances of me buying both are? It's high. It's very high. And then for one last quick size comparison, there they both are with Jyn. So I think they both work. I just can't necessarily recommend one over the other. I can tell you the SH Figuarts is better made, better materials, etc., etc. But, you know, I think that a $20 stand-in does work in this particular scenario. Final thoughts-wise, I'll get the negatives right out of the way. I could have used with a little bit more weathering paint on the kind of base color of this guy. And I could have really used one of those little grenade accessories that he could hold in his hand. He has a holding hand, he just has nothing to hold. And I could have really used one of those little grenades that he chucks. You know, that would have been very cool. Outside of that, the only real gripe that I have with him is that, you know, he's not, I mean, he's definitely better than the Hasbro one, don't get me wrong. As he should be. He's at a higher price point, he's, you know, etc., etc. But he's not as high above the Hasbro one as, say, like the Obi-Wan figure, or, you know, and I'm talking about like the prequel Obi-Wan or the Darth Maul, you know, where it's like, oh yeah, obviously this is just leaps and bounds beyond the Hasbro one. This is not really that. You know, this is better. It's better materials, and I think that if you were just you were like a fan of this character and you just wanted a representation of the character, I think this is a good enough one to get. Probably the best option for this scale, but it's not necessarily the best option for a collector just trying to get one of every character. It's a decent option, though, and like I said before, the nice thing is you can always have Imperial K-2SOs and then your one Hero K-2SO. So for me personally, he's going to be with my heroes just because of how much more love you can see in the sculpt and paint and finish of this guy, and then I'll have my Hasbro one in the back of my Imperial shelf, and it'll all work. So I hope that helps. Hope that made some sense. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.